I want to thank so much my Rav from Israel, Rav Dankanen, coming in to join us on the Simcha, and the other Rebbeim from the Pirkei Shoshanim program. Thank you so much for the honor. Now, we all know that the Bris Milah traditionally takes place on the 8th day, but the question is, why the 8th day? You would really think maybe the 7th day. After all, there's a lot of significance to 7 in Jewish tradition with a lot of positive experiences. 7 days of creation, the 7 days of the week, Passover, Sukkot holidays are 7 days, 7 weeks between Passover and Shavuot, 7-branch menorah. Now there are several examples of 8 in Jewish tradition. The 8-day miracle of Hanukkah, 8 strands of thread that make up the 4 composite threads that double over the form tzitzit. So perhaps there is a relationship between the last 2 and 8. If there is, I really don't know it, so I'm not going to go there. So I need to look elsewhere. Why do we do this? Why do we have the Brit on the 8th day? Well, perhaps the answer comes from a different source, one that is really close and dear to Seth, and that is Asian culture. Turns out that 8 is a very lucky number in the Far East, and since in certain languages, like Cantonese, it sounds similar to the word for wealth and fortune, and the Asians take this very seriously and have been known to spend great sums of money so they can have a telephone number with numerous 8s or an address with numerous 8s. But that's probably not the reason why we do the Brit Milah on the 8th day. So at the end of the day, we really need to look into the Talmud. Now, let's establish that after the initial thrill of having a child has been absorbed and a routine established, and the emotions of the young parents wax again to feelings of passion, and then the age-old question is asked, when can romance resume following the birth of a baby? Now, as an orthopedic physician, I am rarely asked this opinion. And Shira is probably much better qualified to answer that than I am. But fortunately, the Gemara in Masechtas Nida, Lamed Aleph Amud Bet, does address this. And as I read the Gemara, we will hopefully answer this question, why the child is circumcised on the 8th day. Now, to set the predicate, I need to explain that in the days before epidural anesthesia, tradition teaches us that the woman suffered so greatly that right before the final push, she would swear never to let her husband near her again. Now, I understand that Alana, even with an epidural, had to push for 2 excruciating hours. So I wouldn't be so critical if that thought crossed her mind. Now, fortunately for us men, a woman changes her mind by the 7th day, and in the time of the temple was therefore obligated to bring a sin offering, after which she was no longer impure from her indiscretion. Now, the Gemara continues. Rav Shimon was asked, for what reason does the Torah say that circumcision should be performed on the 8th day? And he replies, and apologies in advance, I am paraphrasing, little poetic license, so that there will not be a situation where all the guests would be celebrating the bris with wine and food, which inspires romance, and yet the young parents in the first week after the brit of the baby are still forbidden intimacy. So we see from here how much the Torah emphasizes that children should be a catalyst to enhance the love between parents. So much so that the bris is postponed from what should have been the 7th day to the 8th day. So for Alana and Seth, on this 8th day, when we perform the Brit of Yarden Yitzchak ben Shachayora, I wish them the good fortune that the Orientals ascribe to the number 8. There is Chachma Bagayim. And especially pray for strengthening of their bond of love so intuitively noted by Rav Shimon. And I look forward, B'Sha'at Tovah, to an opportunity to explain why after a sister, romance is off limits for 2 instead of 1 week. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Seth, Alana, you picked a beautiful name. I'm very, very touched. I must tell you that this was difficult because when I left Los Angeles, all my friends said, what are the names? And started throwing out ideas, and of course all the names ended up being Kobe, Powell, or Magic. A certain thing in the air in Los Angeles that we can't escape, but this you certainly did. This is also also, the naming of this baby also closes a ring of happiness for Rena and I, and myself. This is something you know already. This is our third grandchild born in 4 weeks.
Wow.
But more importantly, it closes a ring in that all of our 4 children now have the next generation. They all have 1 child each. So it's you close that ring. So thank you. With a beautiful, beautiful baby. Just to be serious for 90 seconds. After the Brit Bein Havtarmim, many years later, Avraham Avinu brought another covenant to us. And he was 99 years old, and the Torah says that God appeared to him saying, I am Kel Shaddai, hitalech lefanai v'hiyeh tamim. I am your God, walk before me and be perfect. V'hiyeh tamim, and be perfect. And the definition of tamim is to be after your circumcision. And then I will make a covenant between you and me, and I will uphold my covenant with you. Liot lachem lelokim. I will be your God. And later on it says, I will take you to Canaan. You'll inherit the land of Canaan. I'll be your God. So through the act of a brit, through this physical act, this surgical act, it is a sign that thereafter God will walk and have a very close relationship with His people. And we hope and pray that this will be fulfilled, and through the wonderful acts of his parents and of himself, that Yitzchak Berel will be a Jew that we'll all emulate and be proud of. One last thing I want to say. This happened yesterday morning. Before Rena and I flew here yesterday, we attended the bris of our new cousin, who was born a few hours before Yitzchak, and then went straight to the airport from there. And they had a beautiful thing at the bris, and I want to share this with Joe especially. That it's a Sephardic minhag, and Ashkenazim don't do that. But at the end of the davening, Sephardic davening before Aleinu, there's certain tefillot that we don't say. At the very end, all the men stood up. They were singing out loud to our cousin Reuben, but that was pertinent to Joe and I. And they were singing the pasuk of Urei banim b'banecha shalom Yisrael. And when you have a son to your son, then you have peace. Peace will come to Israel. And we hope that this will be fulfilled through our son, our daughter, and that this child will bring in. To commemorate that moment, I want to induct Joe Newstein into a very special club. A very special club.
Yes.
This is the 3rd time I'm able to do this, but in the same process. Some of you know my hobby is scuba diving, and there's a special island in the Caribbean, a special island just for Joe and I. It's the island of Saba. And so, Joe, you are now, as of this day, commemorated into the society of Sea Sabas. Sea Sabas. That's yours.
All right. Yes. Ask them to get together for a picture.
Together for a picture.
Abraham, Yaakov, Yitzchak, Yirapis, Rachanim, Yitzchak, Beryl. That's Shachar, Yoher, Akoy, Babish, and Nicholas of Bris, but call it. So, Shem Shenicholas of Bris came to connect. Torah, the Master, Tovim, and
Amen. Mazel tov. Mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov. Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael. Yehelanu, Uvechol Yisrael. Charlie, get in. All right. So apparently you're a new Ima, and we have some questions.
I have to say goodbye.
Oh, okay.
All right.
That was the quickest interview.
Quickest interview ever.